Subscribe today to RacingAmerica.tv to join our racing community and get access to over 200 live pavement short track races each season from across the U.S. and Canada. Plus, RacingAmerica.tv has exclusive and behind-the-scenes coverage of the NASCAR Cup team.
Enjoy competing with your teammates.
We already know.
Subscribe today and claim additional discounts and access. And your front row seat to watch the excitement and drama.
Car lifts up in the air.
From grassroots to NASCAR, become a subscriber today at the home for race fans everywhere.
You're watching Racing America right here on Racing America.
Racing America. It's in our DNA.
Happy Thursday, friends. Welcome into another episode, a Thirsty Thursday episode of Dirty Air with Rodney Rodriguez. I am the aforementioned Rodney Rodriguez. I welcome all of you guys that are once again being a part of the program here on Thursday, several different outlets, and of course, predominantly on Racing America, and we've got a lot to talk about this evening. Into the month of May. So obviously this is when you're really starting to see lots of things crank up when business is really getting good. I mean, you look, obviously for me, I love the Indianapolis 500. As much of a stock car guy that I am, I will be totally, infatuated with what's going on in Indianapolis once they get done with the Grand Prix. So all of that. And of course, we've got the All-Star race and a Southern Super Series, Cars Tour. All of those series, a bunch of our guys will get the opportunity to race there at Hickory here in the next couple of weeks. So, I'll break a little bit of that down on the show. But as I have done many, many times, and I told you guys at the beginning of this season 3 for Dirty Air, that it was going to be the 2024 Short Track Spotlight. And there's the email address right there where you can send me over your tracks. That way I can showcase you guys on a great platform and get you in front of a lot of people. Dirty Air Racing Show at gmail.com. And this week, I'm actually going to, this one's going to be a little biased because I've had a lot of folks that have come to me and have asked, hey, why aren't you talking about Houston? You know, Houston, I mean, I'll mention Houston every now and then, you know, when there's a Houston event, but I figured that this was going to be the weekend to talk about Houston because I've had folks messaging, and whether it's through social media at the Rodney R on X, Twitter, whatever that thing's called these days, or Facebook Messenger, all the different spots, asking about Houston. And this actually works out because this is the first time in many, 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 many years that you have, it's going to be back-to-back asphalt races in Texas at Houston Motorsports Park at the oval track, the only asphalt, only remaining oval that is circulating, as we would say. So I felt this would be a good time with the back-to-back. I'll tell you guys at the end of the show what all's going on right there, but coming off of a huge weekend that just was, in which there's a dirt track racer. I mentioned this at the end of the show last week, and again, you can find all the podcasts of Dirty Air on iTunes, on Google Play, on Spotify, on Spreaker, all the different podcast spots. You can download this stuff and go back and listen to the audio stuff, so you don't have to look at my gorgeous self. You can just listen to it. But I talked about Jared Maupin, who's just a tremendous dirt track talent in the state of Texas, comes from a racing family here, made his debut there with Rick Polero. Of course, you guys know Rick Polero and John Heil and those guys from the many races that they've run along the Gulf Coast, whether it be in the Outlaws or the trucks or pro late models, super late models, whatever they've done. Jared Maupin dives into not only a truck, it was advertised as racing a truck, but he also dove in and raced the Outlaw. And he won the Outlaw race and was doing really well in the truck race. but ran into some trouble right there and wound up being the runner-up in that event anyway. So it's a really big weekend, and that all piggybacks with week number 2 of the back-to-back coming up at Houston. And it's the same Houston Motorsports Park that some of you guys have asked me about in message about, is that where All Pro used to race? Is that, the old ASA, all of those, Romco Super Late models? I mean, is that the same place? It's definitely the same place. So it's still alive and rolling. So that's going to be that's going to be the featured track. That's going to be our whole 2024 track spotlight that we do tonight. And coming up, I'm going to talk to the winner of the truck race. Like I said, Maupin was really, really close, but not able to win that. But we will talk to the gentleman that won that. And that was another, 3, 4, 5 generation racer, Brandon Gaither, who had been out of racing for a little bit, doing life things, having kids, working, doing all these different things, came back in, jumped in a really fast Jim Teague truck, punched that ticket, put it in victory lane, and took home $2,000. We will talk with him. And then coming out the middle of the program and the probably towards the bottom of the hour, Taylor Kitchen's going to join me. We're going to talk some NASCAR. I know a lot of you guys get frustrated with NASCAR stuff, but this is a time right now where you really need to be talking about NASCAR because there are a lot of things, a whole lot of things that are going on. And even after Taylor and I talk, some other stuff happened that I'll touch on at the end of the show as well. But a great conversation coming up there. And then kind of going back to the Texas thing with Texas roots, we'll talk to 11-year-old Case James, 11, outstanding star in the NASCAR youth division. He's done really massive things in quarter midgets. And this week he comes home, he comes to Texas, and he will be a part of the truck series. He will be racing in the trucks. So we've got that conversation coming up as well. So looking forward to a loaded Dirty Air. So like I always say, Thirsty Thursday, grab yourself a cool one. Kick back, sit back, relax. Feel free to be interactive on the show with me. I would love to see your comments. If I can get to them, I will. We can bench race. We can go back and forth and just talk. That's what this show is all about because this is where the short trackers gather. Coming up, brand new segment. It is the Rogers Dabbs Chevrolet GM Performance Performer of the Week. And that will be the man that I was talking about that punched that $2,000 ticket at Houston. It'll be our man, Brandon Gaither, coming up. But first, speaking of Rogers Dabbs Chevrolet and GM Performance, how about a word from our friends at Rogers Dabbs Chevrolet in Brandon, Mississippi?
Rogers Dabbs Chevrolet was just a regular car dealership here in Brandon, Mississippi, and about 10 years ago, we started branching off with our parts department, and we became one of the top 3 largest parts departments for powertrain, for engines and transmissions in the country. So in doing so, why not support the industry that supports the most powertrain, which is your performance engines and racing? And there's a need there that was not being filled. There was a customer base that was not being taken care of.
We keep the sealed crate motors in stock, the 602, the 604s, the 525s. Whether you're driving a late model or a modified or a street stock, we've got an engine for your car. We also carry the accessory kits, KRC drives. We also do Gary Williams carburetors. We've been in this for a couple years now, and we're doing it to benefit the racers.
Everyone is trying to get into racing, knows that it's not a cheap sport to get into. So price structure was a big thing in taking care of the racers, and we knew early on that we did not want to make this a profit center. We wanted to make it about the racers. Price is a big thing. However, customer service is where it's at. And we've had several instances where racetracks have called us and said, hey, we had a driver out here qualifying and their engine popped. And it's Friday night at 9 o'clock. And our team, Benny and Ryan, are calling me and saying, hey, boss, we need to take care of this race car driver. Let's get them an engine as soon as possible. And they'll be here before sunrise the next morning on Saturday morning, pulling that engine, getting it to that person so they can get it installed and be racing that night. That's the kind of customer service we want to deliver.
Hooters and racing go together like killer wings and ice-cold beer. Racing has been at the core of Hooters' DNA from the beginning. Whether it's backing the best drivers or serving up the best food on race day, race fans know Hooters is the real deal. Big screens, great food, good times. Hooters, the official home of race fans.
Dirty Air on your Thursday rolls on. It is Racing America. As we always say, clean air is good. Times like this, dirty air, a tad bit better with us. Short trackers gather. This is indeed Dirty. And it's time to go to our, let's pull this up right here. There. Oops. Our Rogers Dabbs Performance Chevrolet Performer of the Week. And that's something that we're going to start doing here as we go and showcase guys and ladies that are doing really cool things all around the country. And I'm really excited because this show is going to be very Texas-centric to me, because we actually have, I can't tell you how long it's been that we actually have back-to-back weekends of racing in the state of Texas. So really cool things that we're about to dive into. And we welcome to Dirty Air for the first time the winner at the Houston Motorsports Park this past Saturday night. It is my man, Brandon Gaither. Brandon, how you doing, man?
Pretty good. Just finishing up some work.
Yeah, well, and that was the thing. I know you and I were kind of talking there a little bit offline. So for you, it's funny. You race on the weekend and do all this stuff, but then you got to hit the road. Then you got to get to the real stuff.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Once Monday morning rolls around, it's back to reality and got to go get a paycheck. So.
Yeah. Isn't that the funny thing? It's like on the weekend, it's all glorious, and then back to real life. That stuff kind of sucks. All right, Brandon. So let's dive in here. For you, winning at Houston Motorsports Park, and got to be a really cool thing right there. But for you, talk about this. I mean, this was been a little bit. You're a past champion there at Houston, but for you hadn't been on the track in a tad bit. So to dive back in, that had to be pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, it was fun. I think actually the last time I'd raced at Houston was the 10K race, the last 10K race there. So that one didn't go as well. So we'll take this one and run with it. So all in all, it's been a long time since I've been really actively in a race car. You know, had a baby last March and bought a house, and just a lot of life stuff came with it. So racing got put on the back burner, and Jim called me and was like, "Hey, you know, truck's available. You want to go race?" And I was like, "Yeah, why not? Like, you know, it'll be fun times." And so and that's what it turned out to be.
So, Brandon, I mean, with that truck, you mentioned Jim. That's Jim Teague. I mean, and of course yourself, the Gaither family, the Teague family. I mean, that is some of the best people that we have in the state of Texas that continue to support asphalt racing. Kind of talk about that part, to dive in that truck for Jim. I mean, these guys, I mean, they work really hard on their stuff, and that's a proven truck. That's a proven truck. And any rust that you may have had, man, I never saw it. You just sat there and kind of wheeled that thing around there.
Yeah, I mean, you know, of course, Kruger does all the work on setup wise on, you know, all the Teague stuff, my stuff. You know, he ended up showing up later about 5:30 to run Briner's truck. But I knew once, you know, Jim called me and said, "Hey, you want to race this truck?" And Jake had won it in, you know, I guess the last race of last year. And I was like, "Yeah, we'll go run it." You know, it's a proven truck. I don't think I've got enough laps around Houston now that it's kind of second nature. And I had some jitters, you know, when we got there. I was like, man, it's been a while. I don't know if I remember how to really get around here. And then, you know, stopwatch showed that it felt like I'd never fallen off. So the only thing was about getting in that truck was knowing that it won and trying to back it up. So, but
yeah.
luckily.
I think one of the things that when you and I were in the victory lane there, and friends can check out raceon.com to go back and watch that race there at HMP. Kind of talk about that part when Kruger calls you, and you mentioned to me in victory lane where he said, "Don't let me down." Yeah. No pressure, dude. No pressure at all. No, just get in there and drive that damn thing.
Yeah, that was I mean, heck, I had the truck here at my house actually, just going through it. All we did from October was put new brake pads on it. So I just kept a little maintenance on it. And of course, he's just calling me. I mean, we talk daily, and but it was just a little bit more each time the race kept getting closer. Like, you remember what the truck did? You remember what the truck did? And I was like, I know you don't got to keep reminding me about it, but he does.
Hey man, that's a good thing. I mean, sometimes that's a really good thing, and kudos to you. I mean, because that's a lot, when you got that dude tapping on your shoulder. Let's talk about that race. I can't pull the video because that's a different streamer,
Mhm.
but when you look at that race, I mean, you had a couple of guys that were doing their thing right there, and you were just kind of sitting back there behind them. You were right there within eye shot of them. Um, it seemed like to me that you were just kind of waiting for the shit to hit the fan, and it finally did. And boom, there you go, and you checked out.
Uh, yeah. I mean, me and Jake kind of had a plan to try to get to the front as quick as possible and really control it. Um, and once we kind of settled in, we just sat there and rode, and then with about 20 to go, and that caution came out, and I was like, all right, this is about to where it's gonna get Western here in a minute, because I know the guy that was in the year of the '96 truck, and I know how Jake races, and it's just hard racing. Let's just put it that way at the end of the day, and um, just luckily it fell into my lap. I've had a lot of them taken away, but I'll take the ones that fall in your lap sometimes.
That's right. So, Brandon, how cool for you? I mean, you talked about, I mean, life happens. I mean, I remember you guys. I mean, you guys were little kids when I knew y'all. My dad raced with your dad, and then I've raced with your dad, and we all go back so many different decades around here. But sitting in victory lane, and I'm glad that Owen let me go down there to talk to you. Your dad walks up. I mean, you got the kiddo, you got the lady, you got all that happening right there. That had to be really cool for you to just surreal moment. And I saw you sitting in the truck. You were soaking that thing in to get everybody there that you wanted to be there.
For sure. Those are pretty cool, pictures. I'm gonna be able to look back in time and see my little there, and my fiance, and my dad, and my nephew. We had majority of the family there. My brother was back in cotton ball racing, having his fun on the dirt. But yeah, just moments. That was a fun time and excited, and in the back of my head the whole weekend was like, I would like a victory lane photo, to have with my daughter and stuff, and I'm able to have that now, so.
Yeah. Yeah, that's super awesome. Talk about that dirt part. I mean, you mentioned your brother racing over at I-37, which is in Pleasanton. You guys, I mean, Memphis Virial, I mean, Honeycutt, I mean, all these guys yourselves. Man, we got some of the most versatile racers that you're going to find in the country. Because you guys, I mean, you'll sit out there and rip the pavement up, and then boom, there you are, on the cushion on the dirt. I mean, talk about that part, man. We got some of the best drivers here in Texas.
Oh, for sure. Like you said, Caden, Memphis, Jared at that moment,
Yeah.
there was some people that said that he'd take him a little time to get acclimated to it, but I knew he was a racer at the end of the day, and it's just it's fun to do that stuff. Like I said, I'm partial to asphalt, and will always be partial to asphalt, but at the end of the day, I'm a racer, just like those guys are. So it don't matter if it's pavement or dirt. If it's got steering wheel and four wheels and tires, I'd like to race it. So I can say that I officially have beaten Jared Moppin now on dirt and asphalt. So I'll take that one on the notch on my belt.
Oh man, I love that, dude. I'm going to run with that and make some big stories out of that. I love that a lot, man. So here we go. We're doing it again. I mean, Mother's Day weekend coming up there at Houston, and we're doing spectator races and all this other stuff. Are you back in the 71 this weekend? That's a burning question. Are you going to go back this one up?
I would like to get back, but unfortunately, the truck is still apart. With these crate motors, with the program and all that, you got to send them back off so we don't got a weight penalty. That's kind of what stinks about having, crate motor rule, but just is what it is at this point. But we will be out there, handful more times this year with the truck. So definitely supporting what Owen's gotten going over there.
So for you, the rest of the year, I mean, doing that, I mean, maybe back in a stock car. What all are you? I think you're kind of one of those dudes. You're just kind of the free agent right there. You're just kind of waiting for that phone to ring. It seems like, and then boom, I'm going to dive into whatever I get.
I mean, pretty. It's definitely going to be the truck. either if I'm not in it, Mason or even Jake, he's building a house right now. So maybe the last couple of races we'll get him back in that truck. But other than that, it's probably just going to stick to if sounds mean, but if someone's paying for it right now, just got a lot of wedding in August, all that stuff. So I'd like to be out there with my Outlaw. It sits in the garage. So if anybody wants to jump on board and help paying for it, then I'm game for it. But in this moment, it's just I'll be racing the truck majority this year.
So you still have that? You still have the Outlaw?
Oh yeah, it's sitting there. It's a sentimental car. It's Kruger's old TSR's car. So it's not leave. If it ever leaves my shop, it goes into Kruger's shop, and that's where its resting peace will be. So yeah, it sits here. Partial. I kind of started putting it back together. Took all the leaf springs and everything out of it to convert it to an Outlaw. But other than that, it's sitting in the corner of my garage.
Nice. Damn, that's good to know. That is very good to know. Man, it was so cool to see you out there. So cool to see you win that race. And man, I hope to do it again. We'll be in Victory Lane soon. Just keep doing it, dude. Always glad to see you on the track, man.
Yeah, and thank y'all for everything you're doing for Houston and Owen and everybody. Asphalt hanging on by a thread, and hopefully we can keep it going.
Isn't that the funny thing? It's like I was telling some folks earlier in the week where it's like I can't remember the last time that I went and called a race on a Saturday on Pavement, and I'm going to do it again.
Yeah,
on Pavement. I know it wasn't figured out that way, but it's kind of cool that we're getting to do that.
Yeah, and it's awesome. And what's really exciting is Owen, instead of running, the last 4 or 5 years we've been racing there, it's been like 4 or 5 races a year. To have a legitimately full schedule is nice. And then I saw that they just posted, have another 50 lap races and all that. Yeah. I think it makes people want to go because you're getting your money's worth, buying tires and stuff. So just he's doing it right over there.
Yep, absolutely. Super good stuff. Brandon, congratulations, my man. Proud of you guys. Love your family. Love you. And hope to see you again there soon, my man.
Yes, sir. We will be.
You got it, buddy. Take care.
Bye.
Right there, that is your Rogers Dabbs Chevrolet GM Performance Top Performer of the Week. And it is Brandon Gaither as he takes home the $2,000 pot. $2,000 right there on the line. And that's a big purse. That is a really big purse when it comes to racing, especially in pavement racing here in Texas. We get a lot of factory stock shows on dirt and so forth where they're paying $5,000 to $10,000 to win. But for asphalt, that's really big. A few years back, right there at that same racetrack, Gina did, a race that was $10,000 to win. Brandon talked about that one right there. But, few and far between. Again, our track spotlight is Houston Motorsports Park. Dirty Air Racing Show at gmail.com. I'd love to showcase your track. I'd love to showcase your drivers and such. All you got to do is send me over an email, and I will do the rest. All right, guys, y'all stick around because coming up, we're going to go to the NASCAR Cup Series, and we're going to talk about the Kansas race. We'll talk about that finish, closest finish ever in the history of the Cup Series. They've been doing this for a while. Some other hot topics and so forth that are happening right there. Not going down the hybrid road conversation yet. Give me a little bit of time. I'm not ready to embrace that yet, but I will talk about that at some point. Taylor Kitchen is going to join me. But I do want to tell you guys, you see me sporting the nice polos and so forth. When you see me out at the track, I've got the Dirty Air caps. I've got the Texas Show revved up caps and T-shirts and all that stuff. And that is all from my friends at On Demand Shirts in San Antonio. They take care of me. They are the official apparel provider of lots of drivers in this region, and they will expand that. They take care of a lot of the parent company takes care of a lot of massive companies, but the focus right now is on demand shirts. They are the official apparel provider of Double R, and they can be the official apparel provider of you. So check them out, ondemandshirts.com, embroidery, everything. They are more than shirts. They're on-demand shirts, guys. Stick around. Taylor's coming up. We'll talk some NASCAR, and then we're going to talk to, the young stallion, Case James. That's all coming up. Clean air is good. Times like this, dirty air a tad bit better. It's where the short trackers gather. It's Dirty Air on your Thursday. Thirsty Thursday.
RA Super Late Models make their first trip to New River All-American Speedway Saturday night, June 1st in the Carolina 125. Come see the best Super Late Models in the country as they hit the coast for $10,000 to win as part of the UARA National Series. It's the Carolina 125, Saturday night, June 1st at New River All-American Speedway. For more information, go to UARA National on Facebook. The Stars will be out at Oxford Plains Speedway July 2nd and 3rd, going for $40,000 to win in the All That's Metals Celebration of America 300. NASCAR champions Kyle Busch and Daniel Hemrick, along with short track legend Bubba Pollard, take on North America's best in a 300-lap battle. Plus, New England Super Modifieds going for $10,000 to win and more. It's the Celebration of America 300, July 2nd and 3rd at Oxford Plains Speedway, and you can see it only on Racing America.
Racers are dedicated to winning, and Chevrolet Performance's 3 factory-sealed Circle Track crate engines can help you get to the checkered flag first. Whether you're a weekend warrior or a touring hero, on dirt or pavement, Chevrolet Performance Circle Track crate engines are engineered to win, right out of the box.
From grassroots to NASCAR, become a subscriber today at the home for race fans everywhere.
You're watching Racing America right here on Racing America.
Racing America. It's in our DNA.
Dirty Air rolls on your Thursday as we are talking good stuff, talking short track racing right there. Great conversation with Brandon Gaither, who was our winner at Houston this past weekend in the trucks. And again, we'll talk about later in the program. Another one back-to-back coming up at Houston. However, got to take a little detour, and we got to talk about some NASCAR racing because I'll tell you, man, we had a fantastic weekend, and things continue to happen as we do the program today. And I bring in my authority. When I want to talk Cup Series, I'm going to Above the Yellow Line, TobyChristie.com. It is my friend Taylor Kitchen. Taylor, how you doing, ma'am?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me back. I appreciate it.
Oh, absolutely. Love having you on the show. Before we dive in and talk about photo finishes and all this other stuff, I have to tell you, girl, I was living vicariously through you in the month of April. Talk about everything that you just went through. God, that looked like a good time.
Yeah, so I saved up a bunch of money to go live in Charlotte for a month, and it was one of the coolest experiences I've ever had. I got to travel so much. I got to do so much. I went to Richmond and Martinsville to cover races. I got to work out of the Racing America offices, and everything I've been working towards finally just kind of was right in front of my eyes. And it was awesome to be able to work with people in person, see people in person, get to talk to some pit crews. I got to work with the 42 pit crew and do some special pieces on all of their stories. And it was just the coolest experience. I also got to try cookout and Chili's for the first time. So, I mean, you can't go wrong with that. Like, it was so fun. So it was a great time.
Oh man, that was so. When I saw your Chili's thing, I was like, she's never been to Chili's. I'm like, man, how can that be? See, I need to bring you to Texas, and I can introduce you to Tex-Mex and all that cool stuff because we had all kinds of cool stuff over here. So, I mean, talk about that part. It's one thing to cover it from afar. I mean, I cover NASCAR racing, watching on that screen or that screen, every now and then I get a race here in Texas, twice a year. But to actually be there, boots on the ground, man, that changes the whole aspect of it, doesn't it?
It really does. It's so different being there in person versus, covering from your couch because you are getting more information just like right there in front of you. And you get to cover stories as they break and you get to talk to drivers like right after they qualify or practice. Or if there's a run in on track, you're the first people there to talk to a driver and get their perspective on something. And it's really insightful and you get a lot more, I guess, timely content than you would if you were at home. It's a grueling weekend. It's a long weekend, especially with Martinsville, where everyone was racing at night, and then it was a middle of the day race for the Cup Series. Like I think we would get there at like 7 a.m. and we wouldn't leave until like 3 in the morning, 2 in the morning. It's grueling, but it is so much fun and just it's something totally special. I think if anyone wants to work in NASCAR media, like you have to cover a race in person in order to just kind of get a feel for the industry. It's very different, but I love it so much.
Yeah, well, I think it's something that you'll be doing on a full-time basis here very, very soon. But great job there on that weekend. So or on that month. Let's talk about this weekend that we just went through. A photo finish right there, and still, I get frustrated. The old dude in me comes out that we have this race, and we have the mile and a half package, which really is what this car is conducive for. You have this closest finish ever. You still have some folks upset about that, but your thoughts on this, when it comes to start finish lines and all the, scoring loops and everything. I mean, nothing is easy anymore, but we just witnessed one of the greatest races ever in the history of the Cup Series.
Yeah. My thing is, we're going to have the closest finish in NASCAR history, and we're still going to complain about it, about something, right? Whether it's the scoring line that we have or the start finish line. It was painted pretty crooked, but I mean, of course, we have the technology to kind of tell us, who finished ahead of who. So love technology for that reason. But yeah, I think my first thought before we even got to that overtime finish was that, Kyle Busch brought out the caution in what could have been a fuel strategy type of race, which I love. And I was like, oh man, now they're going to stack everybody else up. Everyone's going to get the right amount of fuel and we're going to have like a really not great finish. So the bad side of all of that is I think we got a caution, in my opinion, that just didn't really need to happen. However, if we didn't get that caution, we wouldn't have witnessed history. And it was a fantastic battle between Kyle Larson and Chris Buescher. And we had great side-by-side battles for the lead all day long. They would trade off back and forth, whether they were running the top line, went ahead and dove in front of the guy on the bottom, or vice versa. And it just goes to show, Kansas right now, it's the most versatile track we have on the schedule. It produces some of the best racing, which is crazy to say because like 5 years ago, I would not say that at all. But it was an incredible weekend. And everyone who was at the track, I'm jealous. I am so jealous of them. They got to witness some really awesome racing.
You and me both. I mean, with the rain delay and everything, but it was definitely worth it that it all worked out that way. Something that you just mentioned right there, and that goes back to being at the racetrack because there really are great battles on the track all the time. But TV's only going to give us, a certain amount of whatever, and I think that's where people, when you get to the racetrack, you get to see everything that's happening, and they're really. I know that from time to time the leader's going to check out. But, man, you've got good racing happening throughout the field in these Cup races.
And I'll even go back to like Martinsville and Richmond, where a lot of people were really not happy with the product that they saw on TV. And when I was there in person, even with Bristol, I was like, it's not as bad as everyone's saying it is. Bristol was another story. That race was awesome, and the tire wear and everything like that was just kind of odd, but really fun. With Martinsville and Richmond, obviously we have an issue with our short track package, right? I mean, the fix to that, in my opinion, is we keep a tire that's a little softer and we up the horsepower, maybe just a little bit. But regardless, I mean, we have people that are sitting at home and they're like, why are we doing this? In my opinion is when you go to the track, you see the full picture. Some of it has to do with broadcasting for sure, of like camera angles, what we can see, what we can't see. But when you're at the track, you are able to see the full picture, able to see the battles throughout the pack, throughout the field. And what I loved about this broadcast and what I loved about, folks that I knew that were at the track that were covering the race or in the stands as fans is I think us at home got the full picture this time.
Yeah.
And we got to see every bit of it, incredible, whether it was a race for 29th or a race for first. We got to see a lot of it, which was awesome.
Yeah, and I know like in Formula One, they make a big deal about a race for 17th. And I mean, that's kind of the way that this happens, where you always have these really good battles. And kind of before we move on, the whole finish line thing, scoring loops, all of that. In short track racing, we use transponders, all of that. I mean, it's not a matter anymore. And the whole thing is, I think it kind of backed up on the heels of a by the nose finish in the Kentucky Derby. That's not the way we do it here. I mean, it's all electronically driven and with stuff in place to make sure that you have a definite winner.
Yeah, I think what I appreciate about NASCAR in this instance is they were very quick to publish a photo of the scoring timeline and how that all works out, because now that we have social media, fans are going to be very quick to post their opinions and be like, "Oh, it was totally Chris Buescher. I don't know what they're talking about," like all that stuff. But NASCAR is like, "We're going to stop this right now.
Yeah.
Here is the photo proof." And I really appreciate how quick they were with that. So it's not like the Kentucky Derby where we're looking at the noses of the horses to see who's ahead, and you have some different policies in short track racing. But with NASCAR now, we have this great technology that gives us this information very quickly. And I notice now when we have the overtime finishes, the bottom left of the screen or bottom right of the screen, one of the sides, you'll actually see like a caution light. So it shows you as soon as that caution button is pressed, like up in the NASCAR tower, like you can see it on screen too. So keeping up with that transparency for the audience is key, and I commend NASCAR for doing that.
Yeah, that's a whole thing. When folks get to social media and they start posting their own pictures, of the TV screen, I'm like, that's not official. I mean,
No.
don't give me that. Don't give me that at all. So, so coming off of that, and here we are into a brand new week. The first thing I want to ask you about. So, obviously, with NASCAR media and so forth, there's going to be a shift there. We've got the new TV package in place to where you've got Amazon and TNT and all of this. I think the big news that we saw early in the week, Dale Earnhardt Jr. has figured out where he's going to be, or at least he announced where he's going to be. Major win right there for TNT. I think to that's the blue chipper. I mean, that's a guy that you want to launch your coverage.
Yeah, and the whole thing with the new TV deal or anything new in NASCAR is you have to build trust with your audience and trust with your advertisers, your sponsors, etc. And having somebody like Dale Jr. in the booth to kind of lead that charge for TNT and Amazon Prime, that is a huge deal, not only because he's a big name, but people already trust him. People already like him. If you don't like Dale Jr., I can't help you. Like, he's one of the most likable guys in the industry, right? So it's a huge win for the sport, and he's very insightful. And for him as well, it's a win for him. He gets to focus on his team, Junior Motorsports, during the playoffs. He's not splitting his time between being a team owner and also being in the broadcast booth. He's able to have that like 10-week segment in the middle of the summer to really just focus on, his job outside of a team owner. And then he can come back and try to get his team to win a championship. It's eluded them the past few years. So I think this is also beneficial to them on the racing side too.
I agree. I think that's a big part of that right there for him, where he's not honed in for that entire second part of the season right there, because it's nonstop. I mean, like you were talking about in your month, I mean, it never stops. I mean, there's always something that's going on. So the other news, I mean, we see a tweet, I guess it was Wednesday, Michael McDowell leaving Front Row Motorsports, and that was surprising. And then boom, on to Spire. Onto the Chevrolets, into the 71. You may have known about this. You may have heard some of that, but man, I did not see that one coming, Taylor.
Yeah, that's a piece of news that a lot of people didn't see coming. And when I heard about it prior to, I was like, interesting. I mean, that my first thought was just kind of toying around with the idea of like, why would he leave? What's the situation there? And like, well, I don't think we'll know that. But what a steal for Spire. First off, Michael McDowell is really good at building up teams. I mean, before he went to Front Row Motorsports and Cup, they were like a 20th place team dancing around that position. They had 2 wins prior to him, ranging in like a 3 or 4 year span with like David Reagan and Chris Buescher. And then when Michael McDowell joined their team, I mean, he has 2 wins now between 2021, the Daytona 500, and between last year at the Indy Road Course, where he dominated over half the race. And now their team average is up, like they're racing in the top 15, top 10, competing for wins. Not just McDowell, but even Todd Gilliland too. We'll see him as a contender for some weeks as well. So for me, it's definitely a loss for Front Row Motorsports, and they're going to really have to find a driver that can help keep their program at the status quo that they're at right now, because I don't want to see them backslide. But for Spire as a team, where I think we're looking for them to perform a little bit better, considering everything that they've done to upgrade their team this year, it's a big deal. And I think Michael McDowell can really help them with Corey LaJoie and, of course, Carson Hocevar. And that, of course, means that Zane Smith is out of the 71, and we don't really know where he's going in 2025. He's a contracted driver with Trackhouse. He is with them, but it's a matter of, does he have a seat? And that's the big question mark.
That's right, because there are limited seats that you're going to find. Kind of your thoughts. I mean, for Ford, I mean, Ford is kind of they've struggled. I think when I saw the McDowell thing and that he was leaving there, I was talking to a friend. He's like, "Well, maybe Honda's going to launch their thing, and maybe he's going to spearhead that." But going to Chevrolet, I mean, for Ford, you're losing the guy that has kind of been your top performer at this point.
Yeah, I mean, for Michael McDowell, it's a return to Chevrolet. He was there with Levine Family Racing in 2017, so kind of familiar territory. But Ford right now, their performance is a little shaky across the board. Even at Team Penske, I mean, it's been a little rough. And having a driver that's as consistent as Michael McDowell, of course, this season maybe not as consistent as we would have liked for him. It's been a little rough, but having somebody that's typically consistent, it's not a positive thing that you're losing him. So the idea is that Ford needs to find drivers that are consistent. And then of course there's all the rumor and speculation that Stewart Haas Racing might not re-sign with Ford. So then they'd be losing another team. And then we have the whole speculation as well, is there going to be a fourth OEM? And that's like way down the line, I think, for sure. But it's a matter of, I think Ford needs to get these teams to kind of trust the process again, trust their progress too. I think at some point they'll turn it around. Remember last year, I mean, they had a rough start to the season and then they started to figure it out a little bit, especially with RFK. And then, of course, Ryan Blaney doing really well in the playoffs and taking the championship. So there's no doubt in my mind they'll figure it out. But I think the longer it takes for them to get up to speed with Toyota and Chevy, the more doubt some of these teams that are currently racing for Ford have.
Yeah, for sure. Lastly, we're coming up on the throwback race. I've watched a couple of your posts right there. I mean, I love. I mean, the Labonte car. I mean, that obviously I'm a Texan. I mean that one for me. Terry's a friend of mine, so to see that, it's like, oh my goodness. But really cool stuff coming up right there. I'm looking forward to that, man. I love that race when you get to see those old schemes, and I like that it's not in the playoffs where it's a distraction. But talk about some of the stuff that you've seen right there. Really, really cool looking rides coming along.
Yeah, the Terry Labonte scheme, hands down, my favorite of the throwback weekend. And we usually rank them on above the yellow line on our live stream that we do Thursday nights at 7 p.m. We do like a live tier list. We rank them with our audience. So it's kind of a collaborative type of thing. So we'll do that. So I don't want to give any spoilers away of my thoughts, but I will say, regardless, Kyle Larson's paint scheme is getting its whole different tier ranking. Like, it's gorgeous. It's beautiful. Nothing's going to beat it. It's awesome. But so far, the paint schemes across the board for even Truck and Xfinity have been pretty stellar too. I will judge a little bit if there are teams that aren't doing a throwback, just slightly. But otherwise, it's a really fun weekend, and I'm excited to see all these cars hit the track because a lot of the renders have looked fantastic.
Yeah, they really have. And I was wondering if you were going to touch on that. The folks that aren't doing it, come on, man, be a part of the party. Be a part of the party.
Yeah, be a part of the party. Like, I get some sponsors maybe don't want to partake in that, and that's a sponsorship thing, and that's fine. I understand that. But I'm also like, it's a fun thing to do once a year. It's tradition. Like, there's nothing wrong with it. It's a chance to tell a story. And from somebody who works on the media side of things and the marketing side of things in the sport, storytelling is all you can do to try to get eyes, try to get attention, try to get more sponsors. So I think it's a big miss if you're not doing the throwback, but I also understand if it's something that maybe your partners aren't really wanting to touch, but
Yeah.
missing out.
I get that. And I think you can go back and touch some of the folks that maybe don't like us anymore. It's like, go reach them again, show them something old. I mean, you got Kellogg's fans that are all excited about this car coming back and so forth, even though it doesn't say Kellogg's. But anyway.
Yeah.
Taylor, you do amazing work. Thank you for jumping on Dirty Air with me once again. Like I said, you are my go-to above the yellow line. Thursdays, you can catch it. And this young lady right here doing some really cool stuff. Again, tell folks where to find all your stuff.
Yeah, go to abovetheoline.com, and that's where you can find all of my social media handles. And then, of course, if you want to check me out on X and or Twitter, go to @_Taylor Kitchen_ where you can get all the takes during the week.
There it is right there. You are the best covering NASCAR Cup Series wall to wall. It is Taylor Kitchen. Thanks for being a part of the program. We'll do it again soon.
Absolutely. Thanks.
lost. Sorry about that. Thank you all for checking in. Taylor checking in right there. It's the art of scoring a race, the old school way, where you're sitting there doing this, and you got to have eyes going both ways, sitting there doing this stuff in pencil. Man, it's a lot. It's a lot. But it really is a different day and time. And thank you, Todd. I got that figured out to where it, the horse race thing, and it just so happened. I got to tell you, it was that was really one of the cool things that I thought was a really big deal this weekend, is that where horse racing and car racing kind of took center stage in the fact that you had those photo finishes, and that it's really great. I mean, that's the stuff that we want. I mean, because that brings the eyeballs to our sport. I've got friends in the horse racing business, and it's like, man, they are so fired up, and they've got so many people that want to find pari-mutuel betting, and they want to find a racetrack near them. They want to find something. Here in Texas, we got Retama Park in San Antonio, and they're about to see a huge resurgence of people coming out to watch this stuff live, and that's great. That's great. Did want to touch on this. The interview with Taylor was recorded because she's got her show on Thursdays as well. Nope, that's a wrong one. This is the one that I'm looking for right here. Yeah, man, that's a damn shame right there. There are a lot of us that do shows like Dirty Air. Of course, you got the Bull Ring here. You've got all the different shows that we do on online, whether it be at racingamerica.tv, racingamerica.com, all the different stuff. Flo does stuff, raceon.com. I mean, and so many shows on Facebook, that go live. I mean, our Revved Up show started that way in Texas. I mean, we threw up a phone and started doing stuff. And that's the fact to me is that Race Hub is leaving. That I'm not happy about that at all, because that really is the show that, I mean, after everything is said and done, because if you watch mainstream sports media, which I do for my regular stuff that I do, I have to sit here and I have to know NBA, NFL, NHL, all the different MLB. I have to sit there and consume that stuff. And it's always been really cool to me that at the end of my day, and I know that folks have told me this as well, that when it comes down to the end of the day, when they get home, and in my case, when I'm done with all the other stuff, I watch Race Hub. And that's where you get, Radioactive. That's where you get, Bobby Labonte, Jamie McMurray. I mean, all these guys that are sitting there talking racing. That's a big loss. That's a really big loss. My man Magic Mike Knott's checking in. I'm sorry. I mean, if you're not a dude that's honed into to NASCAR, I mean, I'm sure a lot of folks probably quit watching after it left the Speed Channel, but that's kind of that whole mindset right there. But anyway, my thoughts, that's a bad loss, man. That is a bad loss. That Race Hub is going to no longer be with us after second weekend of June. That's too bad. That is too bad. All right, you guys, stick around, because coming up, we're going back to when I was talking about the Texas stuff. Not really so much about Texas, but this dude is coming to Texas, 12 years old, and he will outdrive all of us. All of us. I promise you that. Case James, roots right here in my hood in the Austin, Texas area. He's coming up. I'm going to talk to him about his weekend coming up at Houston, and we'll talk about all the other cool things that he does. Clean Air is really, really good. Times like this, Dirty Air just a tad bit better. It's Dirty Air, guys. It's where the short trackers gather. Stick around. More coming up.
RA Super Late Models make their first trip to New River All-American Speedway Saturday night, June 1st in the Carolina 125. Come see the best Super Late Models in the country as they hit the coast for $10,000 to win as part of the UARA National Series. It's the Carolina 125, Saturday night, June 1st at New River All-American Speedway. For more information, go to UARA National on Facebook.
Hooters and racing go together like killer wings and ice-cold beer. Racing has been at the core of Hooters' DNA from the beginning. Whether it's backing the best drivers or serving up the best food on race day, race fans know Hooters is the real deal. Big screens, great food, good times. Hooters, the official home of race fans.
The Stars will be out at Oxford Plains Speedway July 2nd and 3rd, going for $40,000 to win in the All That's Metal Celebration of America 300. NASCAR champions Kyle Busch and Daniel Hemrick, along with short track legend Bubba Pollard, take on North America's best in a 300-lap battle. Plus, New England Super Modifieds going for $10,000 to win and more. It's the Celebration of America 300, July 2nd and 3rd at Oxford Plains Speedway, and you can see it only on Racing America.
Subscribe today and claim additional discounts and access. And your front row seat to watch the excitement and drama.
Car lifts up in the air.
From grassroots to NASCAR, become a subscriber today at the home for race fans everywhere.
You're watching Racing America right here on Racing America.
Racing America. It's in our DNA.
Dirty Air on Racing America. Welcome back in, friends. Rodney Rodriguez, as we've been talking about Texas short track racing. Brandon Gaither right there with a great conversation there at the beginning of the show about his win this past weekend. $2,000 right there that he took home in the rnminstallations.com truck challenge at Houston. Taylor Kitchen with all the breaking NASCAR Cup news as that continues to be a big thing. I mean, lots of things happening right there as we broke the McDowell news, talking about that as he is heading over to Spire and all that good stuff. But let's go back to short track racing because that's what we do. Dirty Air, it's where the short trackers gather. And as I've said so many different times, my time here racing in the Austin area, I've raced with a lot of good friends and family members. I consider a lot of people my family. That really aren't because they've been my racing family for so long, almost 40 some odd years that we've done this. And bringing in right here, this is a young dude that has just been, I tell you, he has taken the racing world by storm, but I'm not surprised because he's a fourth generation star. The original roots for him are here in the Austin area, but doing really good stuff. I welcome in my man, Case James. Case, how we doing, sir?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, my friend. Thank you for taking the time to jump on here. So let's kind of trace this back. I mean, like I said, I raced with your dad. Your dad was like a big star when he came in 1996. Young, just like you. Looked just like you when he came in. But man, you've got a great family heritage right there that you're a part of.
I've also got sponsors. I got a ton of them, and I'm really happy with us because they're very important to our racing.
Yeah, no doubt about it. It takes all of that. So, Case, let's talk about the NASCAR Youth Series. I think that's really important for young and up-and-comers like you that have that talent to be able to have a place to showcase what you're doing. Kind of talk about what's been going on with that.
Really good in the series. We raced Vegas in March 1st, and we went forward from there. So I was pretty happy with that. And then our most recent event was Kansas, and we were able to get 3 wins there. So that was really good. And the next race is Indianapolis. So hopefully we can go get us some wins there.
Wow, what a place to go race. That's got to be really cool. I bet you're excited about that. So for you've been doing this. Talk about the quarter midget stuff. I know here in Texas, we've got a lot of folks. I mean, a lot of our great drivers now started with that. You've been doing that since you were like 4 or 5 years old. I mean, talk about quarter midget racing. That seems like a whole bunch of fun.
Quarter midget is a whole lot of you know, you get to travel different places. And you know, like you said, I've been racing since I was like 5 in quarter midgets. So it's been really fun and all. It's you have so many friends. You get to travel all across the country. And I don't know. It's really fun. I can tell you that.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So I mentioned your dad. I mentioned Colt, and like I said, you know, he came on back in about '96 when I was in one of those classes back in Austin. Talk about him. I mean, it's one thing that's your dad, but at the same time, that's your coach, and I think that relationship right there is one thing that makes you so good at what you do.
Yeah, that relationship is that's who it makes me who I am, and he makes me fast on the track, but he also knows how to set up race car. He also gives me very fast race cars um, that helps us be able to compete up there for the wins.
Yeah. So, Case, is there ever a time, and I should probably ask your dad this, but is there ever a time when you have that line between setup guy, race car guy, coach, and then dad? Is there ever a point where he comes in and it's like, okay, forget the race car stuff at the track. Now I'm your dad. Does that ever happen?
Yeah, it always happens because he's, he's my dad. You know, he's there for me. Yeah, but other to me, my dad. He's really good at cars, and he's a really good coach. But at the end of the day, he's my.
That's right. That's right. That's what it's all about. All right, Case. So big things happening. This is our second weekend in a row that we get to race in Houston for we Texas asphalt racetrack fans. And you are coming down. You're going to come down with your team, and you will be in a pro truck in a pro truck that your dad has won in, a pro truck that your grandfather built. How cool is that to get to do that at Houston?
It's really cool. I get to continue that family tradition in that truck. Like you said, my grandpa built that truck. My dad won a lot of that. It's just very exciting to keep that pro truck.
Yeah, for sure. So, Case, how much time have you had in that thing? Because that's a big difference. I know that you have, bolted the seat into that thing and driven it around somewhat. But, man, what are you thinking about making your way back here?
You know, had much time in it recently. But we're gonna get there. Hopefully we can start off good. Fast so that I can get in the rhythm back in the rhythm again.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Case, I mean, I know that with the family there, your mom and dad and everyone, talk about everybody that makes this possible because it really is. I mean, there's so many, and especially yourself at a very young age, right there. It takes a lot of folks to support you. Just talk about those people that make this so great for you.
You know, all they um they make it for us. They support us all, and I just like to thank my my chassis builders, my engine builder, my quarter midgets, my whole entire family in Texas, and my family here in North Carolina. I'm just very thankful for them, and they helped this become possible.
Absolutely. So, Case, how hard is this? And I'll ask you this before we part. How hard is it for you to be a regular kid when you're doing setting track records and winning championships and doing all these different things in race cars? How hard is it for you to just be a young guy? I mean, that's got to be a lot that you're carrying as you continue to progress.
Um, it's a lot, you know, be normal because a lot of these kids at my age, they're playing like football or they're playing baseball or any other type of sport, but like not many say that that they race.
Yeah, yeah, they're all excited about Little League, and you come rolling up with trophies and track records and all this stuff, and they're like, "Oh my god, okay." Case, thank you for jumping on here. I know that you guys will be flying in, and I can't wait to see you and to hug your dad, and just again, family reunion coming up as you head back to Texas. So excited to have you back with us.
Yeah, I'm excited to be back. Be back in Houston. It was just so fun last time. Last time I came down. Driven. It's a fun one this weekend for sure. Hopefully we have to go compete for a win and hopefully get top 3.
And Mother's Day, is Mom coming? Is she going to make the trip?
Yeah. My mom's also flying down.
Oh, man, I know it's going to happen right here. I cannot wait to see you in Victory Lane, my friend. It's going to be very exciting. Case, good luck. I'll see you this weekend. Thanks for taking the time to jump on Dirty Air today.
Yep, thank you for having me on the show today.
Absolutely. Take care. Mother's Day, guys.
Subscribe.
It's Mother's Day weekend, and here he comes, making his way back to Texas. It's going to be a lot of fun. Let me just before we get done today. Let me throw you some stats here about this dude. 12 years old is this young man right here, Case James. In the NASCAR Youth Series, 30 national wins, 30, 4 national championships. In the Dixie Shootout Series, 48 series wins. That's 48 like Jimmy Johnson and Jake Wright. 48 wins, 10 series championships. In the quarter midgets, 160 wins, 160. 13 championships. And when it comes to, just overall, a main event wins for him, 240 plus. Man, what a resume. I think a lot of us older dudes that, grew up at racetracks, when we were 12 years old, I think we probably sat around and were doing kick the can, under the stands is what we did, and you got this dude that is doing such great things. And like I mentioned, he comes from such a great family. And I just, I'm very blessed that in this show that was going to be with the track spotlight being on Houston and everything going on this weekend, I wanted to talk to Case, especially once I found out that he was going to be coming in. So a big thanks to his dad, Colt, that sat there and, helped coordinate that with me to be able to get that done. And I got to tell you, that kiddo right there, he speaks really, really well. Guys, we are into the weekend. We are into Mother's Day weekend. Don't forget the moms. And don't forget your wives. Don't forget your wives because your wives put up with all the crap that we do, like racing. I know I usually go through and I talk about all the different things that are going to be coming up throughout the weekend. Again, Houston has a huge event coming up, and there are plenty of racetracks, local racetracks and streamers that you're going to find all kinds of cool stuff. But how about we let the voice guy tell us what's going to be coming up on Racing America?
Of grassroots short track racing. It all begins Friday with the Mods Mayhem at Five Flags Speedway and a doubleheader weekend kicking off at Nashville. And then it's action-packed Saturday with the ROC Modifieds at Chemung, Pro Late Models at Mobile, Super Late Models and more at Oxford Plains, CRA Late Model Sportsman at Owasso. It's all this weekend on RacingAmerica.tv.
No doubt, get to a track if you can. That's the best thing. But if you can't, find a streamer because there are plenty coming up. And again, into the magic month of May, not only the Indy 500, you got the All-Star race and everything coming up. But I do want to kind of touch on right there, with the Cars Tour, that they've got a doubleheader coming up at Wilkesboro on the 14th and 15th. That's going to be, that's great. Our friends over at Flow, they'll have that for you. Don't miss that. That's going to be That's going to be a great weekend, or a great midweek thing. I mean, midweek. What do you want to call that? Appetizer, I guess maybe is what you'll call that. The Quapple brothers coming off of their sweep. The last time out for the Cars Tour, they'll be out to do that once again at Wilkes. And then the Southern Super Series, the Tar Heel 250. That's on Thursday, May 23rd. You'll find that on Track TV. And, of course, be sure to be checking in on Racing America and, of course, on the Dirty Air page. And we will get you updated with everything that is going on. Great conversations tonight. Man, this has been great. I do want to mention this. Thank you, Mike. Back to the Houston thing. Since that is going to be the since feature track, I'm looking forward to calling spectator races at Houston. I'm not sure if I'm looking forward to that because the intensity that the spectators are going to have, or if I'm more excited because things could get out of control. Not sure which one, but that's coming up this weekend there at Houston. That's going to be a really good time. Again, a big thanks to all the folks that make this show possible. Of course, our friends at Racing America, Rogers Dab Chevrolet, GM Performance. They do so much for me and so much for this show to just keep us rolling right here. I do want to mention one more time, my friends at, there it is, On Demand Shirts. If you'd like some merch from Dirty Air, they will set you up. Scan that QR code right there. Caps, hoodies, T-shirts. They will get you locked and loaded, and they will put that on your doorstep just immediately after you order it. And they're based right here in Texas as well. All right, guys, continue to send me over those racetrack right there. Send me over those racetrack nominations for Short Track Spotlight. DirtyAirRacingShow@gmail.com. Your track could be the next one that we talk about. All right, guys, have a great racing weekend. Take care of the moms. Go out, find a short track. And if you can't find a short track, find a streamer. That's what it's all about. Short tracks. That's where it all starts. Clean air is good. Times like this, dirty air just a tad bit better. And remember, Dirty Air. It's where the short trackers gather. You guys have a great week. I'll see you back here next Thursday. We'll do it once again.